At the beginning of the story, we see the corpse of a girl. Someone was sitting next to her saying, "Forgive me, I killed you." A man sat in front of the girl's corpse with the number 1 written on his head. The man wept, saying, "I killed you not just once, but 99 times." The man then wept profusely, and wiping away his tears, he declared, "I have only one final chance left." The number 1 is displayed above his head. The man angrily declares, "Trust me, Dami, this time I won't lose." We then see a younger version of the man looking very distressed. He was watching TV. The reporter on TV says that zombies have attacked humans. Then, someone approaches the man who turns out to be his daughter. In another scene, we see the man crying, telling his daughter, "Don't leave me." The man cries profusely while holding his daughter's corpse. The man then commits suicide. But the rope breaks, and we see an angel. The man sits in front of the angel. The angel gives him a second chance. The man looks very distressed. He is asleep in his bed. Seeing himself alive, he asks, "How is this possible?" The man looks to his right. He sees in the mirror that the number 99 is written on his head. He knocks loudly on the door and shouts, "Dami, open the door quickly." Dami opens the door and asks, "What happened?" He grabs Dami and says, "Dami, you're alive." His daughter asks, "Are you dreaming?" He takes Dami's hand and they both quickly leave the house. Dami says, "Let go of my hand is hurting." Her dad says, "We don't have time or we'll die." Dami's dad is attacked by a zombie and he awakens terrified. He is shocked to see the number 98 written on his head in the mirror. This shocks him even more. He then realizes that these numbers are his lives. He clutches the blanket tightly and says that these numbers represent his chances of saving Dami. Then, someone attacks the zombie, and it was Dami's dad who did it. Dami's dad is hiding from the zombies and says, "I will do everything to save Dami." But we see that Dami has been captured by the zombies, along with Dami's dad. Dami's dad has a knife in his hand and is killing all the zombies, and we are shown how he was killing them. He kills one zombie, then attacks another zombie as well. Then they attack the third zombie as well. They kill all of them. They breathe a sigh of relief. Dami's dad looks back. He looks at Dami, who has become a zombie. Dami is saying, "Dad, Dad." Dami opens her mouth to bite her dad, but her dad hugs her. Then he takes out a gun and shoots himself. Dami's dad's eyes are filled with tears. He opens his eyes and lies down crying, and then he gets up, tears still flowing from his eyes. Then we see Dami. She comes out of her room. She sees her dad holding a knife. She looks at her dad in surprise. Her dad's facial expression looks strange. He extends his hand toward Dami and embraces her. He starts whispering something into Dami's ear. He says, "I promise you that even if I lose once, 1,000 times, 100 times, 1,000,000,000 times, I will definitely come to save you." He then releases Dami. He looks at Dami and says, "You trust me." Dami, surprised, says, "Dad." The scene then shifts, and we see Dami's dad holding Dami in his arms with the number 1 on his head. Dami's dad says, "After losing 99 times, I finally found shelter." There are some army officers who rescue Dami and Dami's dad. Dami's dad, whose name is Ryu Min Sop, is admitted to the hospital. The people there are very happy in the shelter. Then we see Ryu Min, holding a bouquet in his hand, sitting in a wheelchair. He is in a graveyard. He sits in front of a grave and says, "It's been 40 years. You've waited a long time." He says, "Now I have to be careful because I only have one chance." He places the bouquet on the grave and says, "This place is very safe." He points a gun to his head and says, "I'm coming for you." Then we see Ryumin again, in a younger version. Dami and Dami's dad are standing together. Ryumin looks at Dami, and Dami looks at his dad. We are shown a scene from the past when Ryumin arrived at the shelter. He explains that Dami died before reaching the shelter, and that too because of a mistake of his. Ryumin says, "I've spent 40 years keeping Dami safe and alive." He opens the door and says, "I won't make that mistake this time." He sees zombies outside, lots of zombies. He is shocked and says, "I've never seen so many zombies in my 40 years. He becomes extremely scared and freezes, thinking, "I've tried 99 times, but I've never seen so many zombies before." The zombies advance toward Ryumin. They look incredibly terrifying. They move even faster toward Ryumin. Ryumin stands frozen in place. All the zombies close in on Dami. Dami shouts, "Dad!" from behind, but Ryumin pushes her. Dami falls down. Ryumin looks at her and starts closing the door. Dami looks at him, and the door closes. Dami screams loudly, gets up, and quickly moves toward the door. She says, "Open the door, Dad." Her dad was attacked by zombies. The zombies begin biting him. Tears well up in his eyes, and Dami begins crying profusely. The zombies bite him from all sides, and he begins to remember the past. We see little Dami, and Dami's dad becomes happy to see her and starts playing with her. Ryumin and Dami were standing near the door. Ryumin says, "Is this the death of me?" Then he thinks of Dami again. He stamps his foot hard on the ground. All those zombies had grabbed Ryumin very tightly. He says, "I don't care if I die." The zombies start biting Ryumin very badly. He starts screaming and throwing all the zombies around. One zombie gets angry. A hand moves towards that zombie. This hand belonged to Dami's dad, which kills the zombie. Ryumin starts attacking the zombies there. A zombie bites Ryumin. Ryumin also bites that zombie. Ryumin rips off that zombie's head. He starts killing more zombies. He starts throwing the zombies into the air. One of the zombies, looking very scary, moves to attack Ryumin, but Ryumin kills him too. The few remaining zombies suddenly stop. They look ahead. Ryumin was standing in front, completely transformed. Ryumin was looking at the dead zombies. Then Ryumin is shown, his eyes glowing. All the zombies start screaming after seeing him. Dami was still sitting in front of the door, and the door starts opening. Dami looks up, crying. There was her dad, who was still alive. He looks at Dami and smiles. Ryumin asks his daughter, "Are you okay?" It's nighttime, and we're shown the Mapo district of Seoul. In that district, a mart is shown called E-Mart. There was a male soldier there who looked very angry. The male soldier asked, "What is this?" There were many soldiers in front of that mart. The soldier's head looked ahead and asked, "Who are you?" Dami and his dad were standing there. The soldier asks them how they both survived. Zombies are roaming everywhere, but Ryumin doesn't answer. The male soldier becomes even more angry and says, "Speak up or I'll shoot you." But Ryumin still doesn't answer. The male soldier asks Ryumin, "What's wrong with your face?" The male soldier was looking at Ryumin. Ryumin was wearing glasses. The male soldier asks Ryumin, "Are you a celebrity? Why are you wearing sunglasses?" Ryumin stood silently, and Dami stood behind him. Then a female soldier enters. She walks towards Dami and Ryumin and tells them that they have no business here. Go somewhere else. She comes close to Ryumin and says, "Can't you hear me? Get out of here." Ryumin still doesn't answer. The female soldier is shocked. Finally, Ryumin says, "My daughter has been wandering around for a week, and she has a problem with her eczema." Dami begins to panic. Ryumin asks the soldier to please help him save his daughter. Ryumin says, "If you can't help me, please let me keep my daughter." Dami is shocked and looks at her dad. Ryumin says, "Please, I beg you." The female soldier remains silent for a moment, then suddenly becomes furious. The male soldier says, "This man has gone crazy." The male soldier says, "Do you really think you can emotionally blackmail my boss? Do you think this idea of yours will work on my boss?" Her boss suddenly starts crying, and the male soldier's mouth drops open. The female soldier starts to leave and orders them to let the two in. The female soldier starts to say something. The male soldier calls out from behind, "Blow your nose." The male and female soldiers start to leave. Ryumin looks at them. Ryumin stands there, smiles, and says to himself, "This female soldier hasn't changed yet." He calls out, "Captain Chaheri," a retired soldier who helps people, and says she's not as cold as she looks. While they're thinking about this, Dami calls out, "Dad," and asks, "What was that all about?" Her dad says, "Let me explain." Dami starts coughing again. Ryumin is about to explain when the officer asks what's wrong with the two of them. Dami feels a headache. The male soldier asks, "Are you kidding me?" Ryumin grabs Dami. Ryumin starts thinking again. "My daughter isn't feeling well. She needs to rest," and says that Dami's health has deteriorated because of the accident. Ryumin puts his hand on his chest and says, "Have I really become a zombie?" We are shown the mart again. Dami and Ryumin look at the mart. Ryumin says, "My daughter will be safe here." He looks at the building on the side. That building was completely destroyed. Ryumin asks, "How did this building get destroyed?" The soldier explains that 3 days ago they were attacked by zombies and that our captain killed them. Then they used ropes to climb from one building to another. There were a lot of zombies in that building, and our captain set off a massive explosion, killing all the zombies. The soldier explains that some zombies may have survived, but they can't get out of this building. The soldier looks back at Henna's father. Henna's father's facial expression was different. He was staring intently ahead. The soldier asks, "Why are you looking at me like that?" We are shown a large zombie behind the soldier. The soldier looks at the zombie. The zombie looked very dangerous. It had 4 eyes. The soldier was staring wide-eyed with fear. The zombie raises its hand, punches the ground. The female soldier quickly arrives, and the zombie makes another punch and hits the female soldier. But the female soldier dodges the blow. The soldiers there are terrified by the zombie and ask, "Where did this zombie come from?" The female soldier tries to protect Dami and Ryumin's body. She yells, "Attack the zombie!" All the soldiers begin to attack the zombie. The bullets were having no effect on the zombie. The zombie screams loudly and attacks those soldiers. The zombie kills all the soldiers in one blow, but one soldier, who was very frightened, survives. The zombie tries to attack her. The female soldier throws her bag at the zombie, saving her from the zombie's attack. The female soldier then yells at the soldier, "Are you crazy? Do you want to die?" The soldier replies, "Yes, I want to die." The female soldier becomes upset. She looks back and orders everyone to head towards the mart. Ryumin tries to stop the soldier, but she tells him to shut his mouth and run away. Dami and her dad also start running. Dami stops and runs towards the zombie. Dami's dad uses his powers and punches the zombie. We see that some boxes were tied with rope outside. The female soldier, or Sachaheri, thinks, "We need to find this zombie's weak spot so we can defeat it." She's utterly shocked. She sees a lot of people in front of them. Among them is a boy holding a small child and a crying girl. Chaheri stops, looks at the zombie and says, "I'll distract this zombie." The female soldier looks at Dami. She asks, "Where's your dad?" She asks, "Did your dad abandon you?" Dami points in one direction. The female soldier is shocked. Her eyes widen. She sees Ryumin make a fist and attack the zombie's head. With that punch, he crushes the zombie's head. Ryumin's hands are stained with the zombie's blood. Chaheri and the others are utterly shocked by this scene. The man even covers the little girl's eyes. The zombie's hand lies on the ground. After killing the zombie, Ryumin begins to return, and then he breathes a sigh of relief. Chaheri looks at Ryumin. Ryumin apologizes to him, saying, "I'm sorry, I broke my promise." Ryumin laughs and says, "I was very scared. I thought he would harm you." Chaheri points a gun at Ryumin and asks, "Tell me the truth. Who are you?" Ryumin stands there, unresponsive. Then, adjusting his posture, he says, "My name is Ryumin Sok." Dami looks at her father with great distress. When her father reveals his true identity to the soldier, Dami tries to dissuade him. While adjusting his clasps, Ryumin, "I'm a zombie expert." There's a moment of silence. Both Dami and the soldier are surprised and say, "Zombie expert?" Ryumin explains, "I've read about zombies, what their weak points are, and how to kill them. I'm glad I was of help to you guys." Chaheri smiles and says, "Good, I see." Then the soldier attacks Ryumin with a knife. Chaheri asks, "What are you doing now?" "Look at Zombie's head, which is lying on the ground." Chaheri asks Ryumin, "How did you kill him?" It's impossible for a normal person to kill a zombie with their bare hands and not use a weapon. Chaheri explains that his red eyes are just like those of a zombie. She tells Ryumin, "Answer me, are you human or not?" Ryumin tells her that it's the effect of a gunshot. Chaheri was confused. She asks, "Is this a zombie?" Ryumin begins to explain to her that this zombie was weakened by the bullets, and I realized it was already weakened. That's why I attacked it and killed it. Ryumin explains that this zombie is a zombie eater, and eaters are zombies formed by the fusion of two zombies. They have immense strength and excellent defense capabilities. But these zombies also have a weak point, and that weak point is theirs. If we hit these zombies at their weak points, they will soon be gone. Chaheri explains, "Well, and your red eyes?" Ryumin tells her that my red eyes are a disease. These red eyes are due to a lack of melanin in my eyes. These red eyes are due to a lack of melanin in my eyes. Chaheri is shocked to hear this. Ryumin explains that this is why I cover my eyes. He also tells the Chaheri that the way you're staring at me makes me feel very strange. Ryumin asks the Chaheri, "Do I still look like a zombie to you?" She is very surprised and has no answer. She thinks to herself, "I don't feel right about this man. He's definitely hiding something. But how is it possible that a zombie is protecting his daughter from other zombies?" She turns away without saying anything. Dami and Ryumin are shocked. Chaheri says, "I give you both permission. You can come in." But Chaheri also tells Ryumin that she will keep an eye on him. Dami and Ryumin were looking at Chaheri. She looks in the other direction. There were dead bodies of soldiers lying there. Seeing those soldiers, she becomes a little emotional. Then two soldiers start moving towards Chaheri. One of them asks, "Are you okay?" Chaheri kicks one of the soldiers in the leg. She angrily explains, "I told you there was an emergency. Take the civilians to a safe place. Why didn't you do as I told you?" One of the soldiers explains, We were very panicked. Chaheri says, if that zombie hadn't been stopped, it would have killed everyone. She also says, if this happens again, you all will die. By my hand, not by the zombies. Chaheri starts to leave. One of the soldiers salutes and says, yes, Commander. The other soldier's leg is still hurting. The soldier whom Chaheri kicked looks on angrily. Then we see the scene inside the mat. There were a lot of people there. Among them were Dami and Dami's father. Dami looks at her father and her father asks, what happened? Dami happily says, thank God you weren't caught. Ryumin smiles at this. Dami says, how do you lie so much? I was so worried your truth wouldn't be revealed. Ryumin says, I won't get caught that easily. Dami asks her dad, do you know that female soldier? He's surprised by this question and begins to think about how she used to help him. He tells Dami, no, I don't know her. Dami asks her dad, do you know the meaning of bluff? Replies, yes, I do. Dami asks, how do you know that word? He tells her, I learned it from you. She says, I never used it. Ryumin looks at Dami and smiles. Yes, I learned it from you. He tells Dami, actually, I've learned a lot from you. Ryumin flashes back to a scene from the past when they were both sitting around a fire, overjoyed. Dami asks, have you really learned so much from me? Ryumin tells her to wait here. I'll get you something to sing to. Dami begins to think, and her dad looks at her and smiles. Dami plays with her hair, and her dad is still smiling at her. Dami holds her dad's glasses and tells Ryumin, promise me you won't tell anyone about the changes in you. Dami tells Ryumin that if people find out, they will hurt you. Dami, deeply upset, says, promise me you won't tell anyone this secret. Do you understand? We then see Ryumin, who had gone to buy food for Dami, talking to the people there. He looks around at the people present. He brings food for Dami and says, Dami, I'm here. But Dami was sleeping. He brings a blanket for Dami and puts it on her. Ryumin starts thinking. He thinks these zombies have changed more than before, and faster. Ryumin comes and sits down with Dami. He was still wondering how these zombies are changing. Ryumin says, I think all these zombies are after me and my daughter, and they want to kill me and my daughter. I think our existence is disturbing them, or they're afraid of us. But one thing is clear, I'm a variable for them. It's nighttime and we're shown buildings. We see a zombie that was very strange and scary, with a very long tongue. There's another zombie in the woods outside the city. That zombie looked very scary. It seemed like he was the leader of all the zombies. He looked exactly like a spider. That zombie wasn't alone. The Cityans were watching the city from the woods. The zombies had red eyes, and they looked very scary. Their faces were very strange. The zombie that looked like a spider screamed loudly. We could see his face, which was very scary. That zombie has a very long tongue. All the zombies look forward, and it seems they're looking at someone. They were looking at none other than Ryumin. He looked like a hero. Ryumin says, well, all the zombies are here. That's great. All the zombies were looking at Ryumin. He smashes the steel ladder on the ground and says, I won't have to look for you guys anywhere else because you're all here. The zombies start growling. Ryumin says, let's get started. He says, I'll kill you all before my daughter wakes up. Well, he breaks the steel ladder in two, just like a hero. Ryumin gets ready for battle. He says, I'm going to enjoy killing you guys. The spider-like zombie moves toward Ryumin. All the other zombies follow. Ryumin hits the zombie in the face, causing it to fall down. All the other zombies also move, crushing the head of one, breaking the legs and arms of another. Ryumin's eyes have completely changed. A large zombie appears before him. He kills that zombie too. We see zombie blood everywhere. Like a hero, Ryumin kills the large zombie. He gathers more energy into his hand, forms a fist, and crushes the zombie's head, killing all the zombies. But some insect-like zombies survive and come to Ryumin. The zombies have red eyes and very long tongues. They charge at Ryumin. However, Ryumin takes to the sky and kills all the zombies, then returns to the ground. We see some weapons in Ryumin's hands. He cuts through some zombies, crushing and slicing them one by one. Then, he moves through the zombies, killing them, and moves toward the leader zombie. Ryumin attacks the leader zombie's head, severing its head from its body, finally killing it. Ryumin's face is covered in blood, and his eyes are red. We are shown back to the apartment where Dami was sleeping. Dami opens her eyes and wakes up. Dami sees that her dad has brought her breakfast. Ryumin tells Dami, "You're up, daughter." He holds a plate containing a meal he brought for Dami. He places the meal on the ground and tells Dami, "Eat." The food looked delicious. Ryumin smiles and says, "You must be hungry." Dami looks at her dad, smiles, and begins eating. It's morning. We are then shown Chaheri's office. A voice outside the office door asks, "Are you kidding me?" In the office, the male soldier tells Chahari, "The zombie noises we heard last night have come in this morning. A report has come that they have stopped because someone killed all the zombies." Chahari angrily replies, "What are you saying? How is that possible? There are so many zombies, killing them isn't easy." The soldier asks if they were fighting each other. The soldier says, "I can't believe anyone could kill so many zombies." But he says, "I saw with my own eyes that all the zombies were dead, and someone had killed them mercilessly." Chahari places her hand on the table and wonders how anyone could kill so many zombies, and that too in 4 hours. We can see that Chahari is extremely surprised. She looks at a machine there, starts thinking, and then she realizes something. Chahari sits down in her chair and orders the other soldier to go and call everyone. The soldier is surprised as to why the captain is calling everyone. The soldier explains, "Now we will get out of this cave, and that too alive. We'll start this operation." We see a man looking out the window and saying, "It's all true. I don't see a single zombie outside." The city outside was in terrible condition. One man asked, "Have the zombies really disappeared?" And a girl said, "Yes, the zombies have really disappeared. I heard it with my own ears." The soldiers were saying that someone had killed the zombies and that the scary sounds they'd heard at night were gone. Hearing this, everyone erupts in joy and says, "Finally, the zombies are gone and we're rid of them." We look at Dami and Dami's dad. Dami says to her dad, "Dad, I think these zombies are really gone." Ryumin puts on a helmet and says, "Whatever happens later, you mustn't take this helmet off your head." Dami asks, "What does later mean?" "Dad." We look behind Dami. That female soldier was coming here. She comes over and draws everyone's attention. She announces over the speaker that we received a report this morning. Someone has killed all the zombies in our area. Everyone is delighted by the soldier's words and says, "It's all true. We survived." Chahari continues saying, "We have to evacuate this place. We have to leave." Everyone is surprised, asking, "Why should we evacuate this place? All the zombies are dead, aren't they?" Chahari explains, "We had contact with a military unit, but we lost contact with them 3 days ago." She names the unit, the 2nd Mechanized Infantry Brigade. She says, "It's a unit with a large number of army soldiers, weapons, and most importantly, they help and protect civilians." They become angry, asking, "You're sending us there just because of a radio message?" And they ask, "Do you even know if all this is true or not?" The female soldier explains that they sent us a message, and I know who sent it, so you don't need to be afraid. Chahari says, "If Blue Hawk sent this message, then I trust him completely." Everyone gets angry and says, "You're sending us there just because of one message, and you lost that message 3 days ago? You're trying to tell us to fall into our doom." Chahari says, "We have to leave. If zombies come here, it will be difficult for us to escape." The man says, "We're not going anywhere from here, and we know the zombies won't come back." The soldier tells Chahari, "I knew this was going to happen. These people won't listen to us." One of the civilians asks, "If a man were the leader in your place, would he make the same stupid decisions as you?" Chahari gets angry. We see someone come forward, and it's Ryumin. Those who say no, the zombies will come back. Everyone was looking at them. The man asks Ryumin, "Why are you talking like you know everything?" Chahari looks at Dami's dad and says, "The expert." The man, surprised, says, "Expert?" Ryumin tells the man that if we stay here, we will become the enemies of those zombies. The man thinks Ryumin looks like a zombie, and he becomes very scared. Ryumin tells the man that staying here is like inviting death. The man is so scared of Ryumin that he puts his hand on his heart, and his daughter asks him, "Dad, are you okay?" A man asks Ryumin, "What guarantee do you have that we will get there safely?" Ryumin says he can't guarantee it, but he asks them a question. He asks, "If you don't follow the soldiers, do you think you can survive without them?" Hearing Dami's father's words, they start talking among themselves. One man says, "He's right." Another survivor also says, "Yes, without the soldiers, we would die." The bespectacled boy tells everyone that the only reason they're still alive is because of the army. They all saying, "Let's go. We trust our army." Chahari is surprised and wonders how Dami's father changed their minds. She looks at Ryumin and asks, "Who is he?" Ryumin says, "I don't need to thank you." Chahari says, "When did I ever say thank you?" Ryumin says that no matter what the situation, he knows how to convince these people, and besides, he's doing all this for his daughter and himself. He extends his hand. "I convinced these people because I know you can do it." She begins speaking into the speaker. "Let's begin our mission escape, and I'll get you all safely to that unit." Then we see some buses. Those buses are passing over a bridge. There are survivors in those buses. We see Dami sitting in one of the buses. Outside, soldiers are also sitting in their vehicles. Soldiers are sitting in the vehicles in front of those buses. There's a signboard there. The soldier driving the vehicle looks back and tells Chaheri how much time they'll be crossing the Han River. Chaheri tells the soldier to focus on driving and says this is just the beginning. One of the soldiers looks ahead, nervously points and says, "Sergeant Shin, there's a zombie over there." Then suddenly, more zombies start appearing. All of them move rapidly towards them. Chaheri orders the other soldiers to begin their operation. She says, "Civilian and Team C, you guys go right and we'll go left." We see that the zombies are behind them. Some vehicles are going right, some are going left. Soldiers behind the vehicles are throwing cases at the zombies. The zombies start running towards them. A soldier says that their plan worked. They're following us. Chaheri orders them to drive faster and keep a distance so the zombies can't catch up. The soldier does just that. He speeds up. There were a lot of zombies behind the soldier's vehicle. Chaheri orders them to drive towards the bridge. We see the bridge that was broken. Chaheri orders them to move the vehicle from one side to the other, and the soldier does so. They reach the other side of the bridge, but there were zombies there too. The zombies move towards their vehicle. The soldiers crush them with their vehicle. We look at the bridge again. More zombies appear there. One zombie there looked very scary. Ryamin crushes him with a road roller. He tells her, "I'll crush all the zombies with this road roller." Ryamin was crushing the zombies with the road roller. He was moving forward, crushing them. The zombies advance towards them, but Ryamin crushes them too. More zombies arrive and move towards the soldier's vehicle, but Ryamin arrives and saves them. He kills all the zombies there. Then we see a bus. Dami is on board. Dami is thinking about something. We see Dami and Ryamin in the past. Dami asks her dad, "Dad, why only you? Or can't anyone else help them?" Dami was talking to her dad about the soldiers. Ryamin says, no one else can do this work except me. He says, "Don't worry, I'll be with you." Dami says, "Dad, if the soldiers find out about you, then what will happen?" Then, in the present, we see Dami hear a voice. Someone was saying that Captain Chaheri's team had returned. Dami looks outside in surprise. We then see a scene from the past. Ryamin was telling Dami not to worry. He was just helping them and said that the soldiers wouldn't find out about him. We are shown a scene from the future where Dami is very surprised to see her father. Dami sees her father sitting in a road roller, accompanied by army soldiers. Ryumin looks at Dami and greets him. Dami was at a loss. Chaheri tells everyone to look ahead. The soldier says, "What?" When he looks ahead, there are many zombies ahead, but he crushes them all with the road roller, crushing them as he moves forward. We also see the severed heads of those zombies. Then we see a road. There are buses there. Behind those buses is an army vehicle, and Ryumin leads them in front, accompanied by army soldiers. They are all very happy. One of the soldiers says, "Captain, we did it." Then we are shown the unit, which is in the middle of the jungle. There is also a checkpoint there. Ryumin smiles and says, "We got here in just 8 days. This is record-breaking speed." But Ryumin says, "I can't relax. I'm strong. That doesn't mean I'll sit back. If I do, Dami's life could be in danger." The soldiers praise Ryumin and are overjoyed. They say, "I was worried whether you would be able to help us or not, but you saved our lives." The other soldier asks Ryumin, "Where did you learn to operate this road roller? Did you work at a construction site?" Ryumin replies, "No, I learned it myself." He says, "Thank you. We arrived safely." The captain says, "Yes, thank you." Ryumin teases her and asks, "What did you say?" She says, "I just said yes." Ryumin asks, "What did you say after that?" The captain tells him, "Shut up. There are some soldiers there." They see the captain and salute and say, "We were waiting for you guys." The captain, Chaheri, also salutes them and asks, "Do you know me?" The soldier says, "Yes, we were informed. Colonel Cha Pung-ho told us that an army officer was coming." The captain asks, "Did Colonel Cha Pung-ho tell you?" The soldier says, "Yes." And he also says, "He told us that a stubborn officer was coming." The soldiers laugh at this. She looks at the soldiers and they suddenly become serious. Chaheri asks them, "Where is Colonel Pung-ho?" The soldier says he's gone to the rear gate. We then see Ryumin, who had gone to visit Dami. Chaheri is very surprised and upset by what the soldier says. The soldier tells him that some zombies have come there. Chaheri asks if he can handle them personally or if he has any weapon. Can he handle zombies alone? The soldier interrupts her and says, "No, not like that." The soldier smiles strangely, meaning he was lying. We see the brigade rear gate. There are some soldiers there. One of the soldiers checks the time and says it's 27 seconds and tells the colonel standing below that they've set a new record. There was a zombie lying there. Colonel Pengho smiles and says that it's so much fun to kill them with your bare hands. Then we see the colonel holding the zombie's head and an axe. The soldiers tell the colonel to bring a gun with him next time he goes, lest the zombies bite him. Colonel laughs heartily at their words and says, "More zombies will bite me. That's not possible." Colonel tells the soldiers that when they reach his level, they'll be able to see the zombies clearly. He knows the fighting abilities of these zombies. He mocks the soldiers, saying, "Your skills are useless," and starts laughing. One soldier says, "I'm angry, but I can't argue with you." Another soldier says, "You've used very harsh words." Then Colonel puts his hand on his shoulder and says, "My bones, someone is right, that age spares no one." Colonel Pengho says to himself, "I need someone other than these useless soldiers who can defeat the zombies." One of the zombies stands up. Colonel looks back and asks the zombie, "Are you still alive?" The zombie starts attacking Colonel, but Ryumin enters from behind. He crushes the zombie with a road roller. The soldiers standing above are utterly shocked and ask, "What is this?" Colonel takes a step back. He looks at Ryumin. His eyes become like those of a porter. He remembers something he said. In it, he said that when you reach my level, you'll be able to see zombies clearly. They see a very scary shadow of a zombie, and that shadow belonged to Ryumin. His eyes turned red. This meant the soldier had realized, or sensed, that Ryumin was not a human, but a zombie. He was looking at Ryumin. He said, "Hello, my name is Ryumin Suk. Captain Chaheri and I came here together. I heard from some soldiers that you were here, so I came to help you." Suddenly, the colonel attacks Ryumin. Ryumin dodges the attack. The soldiers shout, "Colonel, we can't attack civilians," and one of the soldiers is shocked. He says, "What is this?" He sees that Ryumin was holding the X in his hand. The clone stares at Dami's dad in astonishment. Colonel orders the soldiers to quickly raise red alert and move in. He says, "This man is a monster. I can feel it in your eyes. You can't fool me." Ryumin calls out the colonel's name, and the colonel is shocked. Ryumin takes the axe from him and throws it in the air. A piece of the axe remains in the colonel's hand. Ryumin says, "I'll stay here no matter what," and says, "It seems I'll have to convince you." We see the axe in the air. Ryumin was telling Colonel, "I think words alone won't be enough to convince you." Colonel, surprised by Ryumin's words, suddenly smiles. Ryumin makes a fist and tells Colonel, "I'll tell you who I am." Colonel tells Ryumin, "So you mean to say that you have to fight me?" Ryumin was already prepared for the fight. Colonel says, "I've fought many people, but fighting this one will be a little difficult." Colonel takes off his backpack and army shirt. He looks at Ryumin and awkwardly asks him, "How did you know I would be interested in all this?" Colonel agrees to fight, saying this and disappears. Colonel disappears and attacks Ryumin. Ryumin was also standing with his fists clenched. Ryumin attacked him, asking, "Are you exactly?" Siren sounds and Ryumin alert everyone, saying, "Code Red," meaning alarm bell, and tell all civilians to head to their shelters. Chaheri, surprised, asks, "Code Red, what's going on?" One of the soldiers replies, "I don't know myself, but please follow protocol right now." A soldier approaches, looks at Chaheri and says, "You want a captain?" The male soldier replies, "No, I am Captain Guk." He thinks the soldier is talking to him. The same soldier who asked Chaheri, "Where are you?" points a gun at Chaheri. Chaheri becomes angry and asks, "What are you doing?" The soldier tells her that a monster has attacked our colonel, and that monster is calling her name. Captain Chaheri is surprised and says, "Monster?" and asks, "What are you saying?" The soldier tells her that the monster named itself Ryumin Suk. "Now tell me, why is that monster calling your name? And did you bring it with you?" Everyone is shocked. Dami is stunned. Then we see Ryumin, who was still fighting with Colonel. They were both gaining on each other. Ryumin attacks Colonel, but Colonel defends itself. Ryumin punch hits the wall behind him, shattering it completely. Colonel says, "You broke the entire wall with one punch, and you think I'll believe you're human?" Colonel kicks Ryumin. Before he can land a kick, he disappears and attacks Colonel from behind. Colonel quickly looks back and dodges the attack. Colonel, taken aback, suddenly attacks Ryumin, injuring him. Ryumin retreats, wounded. Colonel grabs Ryumin by the collar and asks, "Are you kidding me?" He asks, "You were going to hit me with that punch, but you didn't. Why?" Ryumin says yes and says, "Yes, I didn't mean to punch you with that punch." Ryumin becomes serious and says, "If I had punched you, you would probably have died." Colonel remains silent for a minute. Colonel says to himself, "All my bones are aching from fighting him." He thinks about Ryumin and says, "There's a huge difference between them." Colonel asks Ryumin, "What do you want from me?" Ryumin says, "Protection." Colonel laughs at Ryumin and says, "You're kidding me. Why does a man like you need protection?" Ryumin replies, "I'm not asking for protection for myself." He mentions his daughter and says, "I'm asking for protection for my daughter. Please allow my daughter, those people, and me to stay in this brigade." Ryumin sits down in front of Colonel and pleads with him, saying, "If you give me permission, I'll do whatever you say." Night falls. We see the civilian holding room where all the civilians are. One man asks, "Did you hear those soldiers calling him monster?" The other man replies, "Yes, I heard that too." The man in the shirt says, "I already suspected him. I was scared just by looking into his eyes." The man in the jacket explains that he had said he had a melanin deficiency. He asks if that person is really a zombie. We see Yumin tied up. His face is injured. He remembers Colonel's words. Colonel had told Yumin, "Okay, fine. We'll give shelter to the people you rescued, but you're the real problem." He says, "How can I trust a dangerous man like you?" Yumin is shocked to hear what he says. Yumin says, "Isolate me. Keep me away from them and lock me up. I don't know how long it will take, but I will prove to all these people that I'm not a threat." He was thinking about this when suddenly someone comes to his window, and we see a figure. Yumin looks over, and it's Dami, who had come to visit him. Dami is overjoyed to see her father. There's a sparkle in her eyes. Yumin quickly gets up and is utterly shocked to see her. Her dad thought he wouldn't see her for a few days. He asks Dami, "Are you okay?" Dami happily replies, "Yes, Dad, I'm absolutely fine." Dami says, "The alarms are off and all the soldiers are very nice. They're taking great care of all of us. He's so nice that I didn't even need his permission, and I came here to meet you." Dami was laughing as she told all this. Dami said that there were too many people in the civilian holding room. Some people were harassing others, and I was feeling suffocated there. That's why I came out to meet you. Ryumin apologizes to Dami. Dami is surprised as to why her dad is apologizing. He tells Dami that he broke his promise to her again. He tells her that he promised her that he would never get involved in anything again. He was telling Dami all this with great sadness. He told Dami that he knew she was angry with him. Dami gently and lovingly patted him on the head. Ryumin was shocked. Dami told her dad that if it weren't for him, neither she nor all these people would have survived. Dami laughs and says, "So keep your head high and don't be sad at all. I don't care, no matter what people say." Ryumin looks at her and she tells him, "I believe you." Dami looks at the time on her watch and tells her dad that she has to leave. Ryumin looks at her. "If I don't get there by 10, that soldier will scold me." With that, Dami starts to leave and says goodnight to her dad. Ryumin smiles and says, "Sleep well, my daughter." Dami happily leaves, her dad still watching her. A smile appears on Dami's face, and Dami's dad too was very happy to have talked to her. Dami suddenly becomes sad and stops. Her tears fall to the ground. Dami cries profusely. Her dad also becomes sad. Just then, we see some soldiers approach Ryumin's cell and call out to him. He looks back. The soldier explains, "Our commander wants to meet you." We see the soldier's hand pointing to a location on the map. He's holding a tablet. He explains, 20 minutes ago, we detected some sounds at Gopal's station. These sounds are from survivors." He says, "We also received a strange signal. We can see those signals on the tablet." Colonel says, "This signal is completely different from all the other signals." He explains, "This mission will require speed. If we take our entire team with us, our speed will slow down. That's why I'm going to take you with me." He points to himself and then points to Ryumin. Colonel says, "You told me that you would do anything for your daughter. Can you prove it?" Ryumin breaks the chains. The soldiers standing with him get scared. Ryumin asks, "When do we have to leave?" Colonel smiles and laughs, saying that this mission will be successful. At night, we see the city, which is in very bad condition. We see a woman holding a small child who is saying, "Mom, Mom." In one of the buildings, there were survivors sitting there, hoping that someone would come to rescue them. The woman's baby was calling, "Mom, Mom." The baby's mother was telling the baby that Diane doesn't do that. The man was getting irritated by the baby. Another man was there who said, "This baby is making too much noise. Make him quiet." He said, "It's already too noisy here, so make him quiet." Another woman, sitting next to her, tells the two men, "It's just a baby. If it doesn't make a noise, what will it do? And you guys should stop complaining." One man says, "I'm sorry," but the other looks away angrily. The baby looks up and says, "Mom, Mom." The lady is a little surprised. She begins to feel a strange fear. When she looks up, she sees something very strange and scary. The creature is staring at the lady and the baby. We see the creature's face, laughing in a very wicked way, with its eyes completely black. But after a few seconds, its eyes turn red, and its teeth become very large. We see a building with a large number of zombies outside. One of the zombies standing in front is suddenly hit by a bright light. A car arrives and blows them all away. The car contains none other than Colonel and Ryumin. Colonel tells Ryumin, "I told you my car is stronger than a road roller." Ryumin says, "Yes, you are absolutely right." Colonel is talking to Ryumin while crushing the zombies. He says, "The road roller is strong, but its mobility isn't that great." He says that killing zombies with a road roller is boring, and this mission is all about speed. He says it's for two reasons. First, it's unpredictable. First, we'll go into a cave, but its entry point is completely destroyed. Even the subway tracks are blocked. Continuing his talk, he says that the second thing he says is that he points his finger at the tablet and signals that some undefined creatures are trapped in the cave with the survivors. He says that this means we shouldn't waste a single second. Ryumin was looking at the tablet. He points to a vent in the tablet and says, "I heard this vent might still be in use. So that means we'll both go down through the vent and rescue the survivors. And that's our mission." We see the survivors hanging upside down. The survivors were suspended from a spider web by the crutches. They were hanging upside down. All the survivors are extremely shocked and confused, wondering how they got here. The woman asks, "Why am I hanging like this? What is going on here?" She remembers her baby. She moves around and calls out the baby's name. "Where are you?" The woman falls down and starts screaming. "Diane, sorry, Diane, where are you?" One of the survivors asks her, "Miss, are you all right?" The other survivor who was hanging tells the man, "Help me." The woman asks, "Have you seen my baby? You know my baby now, right?" The man says, "How do I know? I don't even know how I got here." The man starts screaming and says, "Get me out of here quickly." We see the old lady. Smiling strangely, she approaches the survivor. The man fearfully asks her, "Are you the same woman who was making so much noise?" The woman, standing below, hears her baby's voice. The survivors run for their lives, but the woman stops and looks toward the stairs. She runs toward them, but the survivor tells her not to go down, saying, "The tracks are blocked." Another survivor asks her, "Child, what are you doing here? Get out of here, quickly." The boy yells, "Dad, look ahead." The zombies begin to attack the few remaining survivors. We see the woman running down. She hears her baby's voice. She says, "I'm coming." She quickly reaches the bottom, and upon reaching the bottom, she is shocked and stands there. There was a large, giant creature known as Skinwalker in front of them, and this creature was none other than the woman's baby. The creature held a corpse in its hands. The woman was standing nearby. There was a man under the feet of the creature. Creature kills that man too. He starts growling loudly, and the woman becomes very frightened. The creature's hand is behind the woman, meaning it was about to grab her. It grabs the woman and opens its mouth. A car enters the scene, and the car starts moving toward the large creature. There is a loud explosion. The woman survives, but she is in a state of shock and starts crying. After all, the giant creature was her baby. Ryumin tells the colonel, "We tried so hard, but we couldn't save anyone." Ryumin looks at Colonel and suddenly transforms into a zombie. The lady was standing right in front of Ryumin. Ryumin's eyes turned completely red, and he finally says, "I can't help humans by being human." We see that the giant creature wasn't dead yet. The giant creature was looking menacingly at Ryumin, who was standing right in front of it. Looking at the Ryumin thought it was a spider-like, high-grade creature that stuns humans, hunts them, and mimics human faces. Ryumin was looking at the giant creature with great anger. The spider-like creature opens its mouth, which has very large teeth, and the creature looked very scary. The spider-like creature throws a web from its mouth. Ryumin was saying that this zombie structure is exactly like an actual spider, and it would be very easy for him to kill it. If he exposed it to high heat, this spider-like creature would die quickly. When the creature throws a web at Ryumin, it falls down. Ryumin catches the web and pulls it toward him, causing the spider-like creature to fall. Ryumin attacks the spider-like creature. Ryumin strikes the zombie so hard that its mouth fills with blood. Ryumin delivers another punch and attacks the zombie. Ryumin is about to attack the zombie when suddenly, someone from behind throws a stone at his head. Ryumin stops abruptly. Behind him is the same woman who tells Ryumin to stop. The woman, crying, tells Ryumin, "Please don't kill." He looks at the spider-like creature. The creature opens its mouth again and starts screaming. The creature blows a powerful breath from its mouth and attacks Ryumin. The lady, shocked by this, screams. Ryumin defends himself from the creature's attack, and the lady falls to the ground. Ryumin becomes extremely angry at the creature. The creature was still blowing air from its mouth. The creature moves towards Ryumin, opens its mouth, and attacks him. Ryumin tries to get up, but is unable to do so due to his injuries. Ryumin remembers something his daughter had said to him. I don't care. Whatever people say behind your back, I believe in you. So keep your head high. Remembering this, Ryumin gains courage and then hits his head on the ground. He hits the ground so hard that the ground breaks. The giant creature begins to growl loudly. Before the giant creature can growl even louder, Ryumin attacks it. He crushes the zombie's mouth with a single punch, and blood begins to flow from its mouth. The creature is in so much pain that it begins to writhe in agony. Ryumin attacks the creature again. The creature falls to the ground. Ryumin watches the creature, and the creature bleeds even more and writhes in agony. Creature looks up and starts crying profusely. Ryumin says, "This is wrong. You can't cry. The sound of your crying is too bad." Ryumin says, "Now the only sound that comes out of your mouth will be screaming, not crying." He looks at the creature with extreme anger. Creature begins to scream again. Ryumin makes one final attack on the creature, killing it mercilessly. We then see some zombies who had come to attack the survivors. The civilians close the door tightly and everyone tries to prevent the zombies from opening it. All the survivors were saying, if the zombies open this door, we'll all die. The survivors were terrified. One of the survivors, a boy, asks, "Are these zombies? Why are they so silent? And their faces look very strange." The boy's dad tells him to be quiet and hold on to the door tightly. The uncle is utterly shocked. All the survivors start coughing. One of the survivors says, "The smoke looks like something has burned." The boy, terrified, says, "We're going to die. We're all going to die." The uncle standing there tells him to shut his mouth and stop saying such nasty things. The uncle's son calls him. The uncle angrily asks, "What happened now?" His son tells him, "Can't you feel anything, Dad? The zombie's movement has stopped." Then suddenly someone breaks down the door. All the survivors are terrified. The uncle's son tells him, "Dad, be careful. The door has been broken." Then the uncle, very surprised and frightened, asks someone in front, "Who are you?" And standing there was none other than Ryumin, our hero. Everyone is utterly shocked to see him. Ryumin had the lady in one hand and the zombie's head in the other, and he had killed all the zombies behind him. Then we see some buildings. One of the buildings had the same ventilation. Someone starts opening that ventilation. Colonel were standing outside the ventilation duct. When they saw someone breaking the ventilation duct, they realized that Dami's father had rescued all the survivors. The soldiers behind Colonel were frightened, but Colonel smiled, having accomplished his mission to rescue the survivors. Then, morning arrived and the survivors were evacuated from the building through the ventilation duct. We saw the soldiers outside and the survivors looked very happy. Ryumin had saved a total of 37 survivors. The soldiers who went inside the building to check on them found a white web. A soldier picked it up and looked at it in amazement. Another soldier, also seeing the web, was also surprised and asked, "What is this?" When the soldiers open the web, it's none other than the little baby. Her mother is overjoyed to see her daughter and starts crying, while the little baby laughs too. We then see someone. The survivors were overjoyed to see someone. He was standing there with them. It was none other than our heroes, and all the survivors were overjoyed to see them. Everyone now calls Ryumin Miracle Man. Ryumin becomes happy seeing everyone's happiness. A female soldier is also standing there thinking about something. The soldier standing with the female soldier says, "I knew Ryumin was a little strange, but I didn't know he was so good." The soldier praises Dami's dad profusely. Colonel is also clapping for Ryumin, overjoyed, and they tell Ryumin, "You passed. Perfectly passed. You've passed." Ryumin glances over to the side. Dami is standing there, overjoyed to see her father. Her father is also overjoyed to see Dami, and Dami smiles back at him. Ryumin waves to Dami, and Dami takes his hand, and they embrace happily. We are then shown a living quarters. A sick soldier lies on a stretcher. Another soldier approaches him and says, "Ever since the sergeant returned from the mission, he's been coughing and sleeping a lot. His health has deteriorated significantly." The soldier leaves, leaving the medicine behind. He tells the sergeant, "I'll bring him another one. Rest well." With this, the soldier leaves and closes the door. We see the sergeant with a bandage on his head. He suddenly begins to sweat profusely, and we see his neck suddenly swell. The sergeant suddenly opens his eyes, and we see that his face has become very strange. His eyes are wide, His mouth looks very scary, and he begins to sweat even more.
The night sky looked calm, like it didn't care the world was burning. Around the campfire, laughter echoed, tired souls pretending that warmth could drown out the stench of death. The colonel laughed the hardest, a man who'd seen enough blood to fill oceans, still clinging to humor like it was his last weapon. His voice carried command, but behind that grin there was grief that never left. Beside him sat Ryu Min-suk, quiet, unreadable, the kind of silence that doesn't come from peace, but from loss. His eyes stayed on the fire, maybe because flames don't ask questions. The colonel clapped his shoulder, half proud, half mocking. "When I first saw you," he said, "I knew you'd last longer than the rest." Then he lifted his can, voice lowering. "To those who left this hell first." The laughter stopped. Even the fire seemed to listen. "And to us, who still pretend this is living." The colonel drank first, his eyes sharp, testing. He wanted to be asked, wanted someone to break through that iron mask of his. But Ryumin only stared into the flame, his mind lost in ghosts. He thought about the plans that failed, the lives that vanished, and the man he'd become, not quite human, not yet dead, a monster, molded by survival. When he finally spoke, it wasn't for pity. It was a confession no one asked for, and no one could understand. But the colonel did. He always did. His smirk held no surprise, only certainty. He didn't need Ryumin's story. He already knew it. What mattered wasn't a past. It was the will to keep saving others, even when saving yourself stopped making sense. He raised his can again, voice steady, almost gentle. "That's all you need." For a moment, Ryumin's gaze softened, not from hope, but from recognition. The colonel hadn't changed, still unbreakable, still human in a world that forgot what humanity meant. And as the fire crackled between them, Ryumin muttered under his breath, a rare smile touching his lips. "You really haven't changed at all." The colonel, pretending not to hear. Some truths were better left in silence. The colonel questioned Ryumin's presence, his tone light but his eyes sharp. He couldn't understand why someone like him, fast, capable, and coldly efficient, would linger here when his path led elsewhere. Ryumin's answer was simple. He had work to do, but the weight behind that word said more than any explanation could. Every time he'd rushed before, he'd paid in blood. The memories flickered, rain-soaked nights, lifeless bodies, and mistakes that refused to fade. The result had never been good. The colonel studied him for a moment, then smirked. He saw it, the burden, the restraint, the quiet storm behind those red eyes. He lifted his drink, voice steady. "You're it, aren't you?" Ryumin didn't respond, but the silence was answer enough. The colonel chuckled soft, eyes narrowing with understanding. To him, it was obvious. The way Ryumin looked, like a man holding the world together for someone small and fragile. The kind of look only a father carried. He laughed again, low and rough. "The hardest thing to protect," he muttered, "is the closest thing you have." The words hit harder than either of them expected. For once, even Ryumin's mask slipped. The moment broke when the colonel, ever the soldier, changed the subject, asking about another missing comrade. But the answer never came, because right then, a soft voice called out from behind, "Dad?" And in that single word, everything else fell silent. The colonel sat alone, lost in thought, his laugh subdued now, his tones softer. Watching Ryumin walk away, he muttered to himself, half amused, half in awe. Even a man that broken could still wear the face of a father. He tilted his can, whispering the word Daejeon, like it carried more weight than a city ever should. His smirk returned, not the friendly kind, but the one that hides calculation behind sentiment. Because in that moment, something inside him shifted. The soldier in him, the leader who'd once lost his direction, finally found purpose again. Thanks to Ryu Min-suk, he thought, I can make a plan again. The plan of Lee Cha-pung-ho, quiet, dangerous, and written in blood.
But peace never lasts long in this world. A shadow loomed. A soldier approached, nervous, trembling. His words came out broken between gasps. "We have a problem." The colonel didn't flinch. Problems were his daily routine, but his grip on the can tightened. Instinct, not fear. Meanwhile, far away, under the faint blue of the moon, Ryumin walked beside Dami, her small steps echoing softly against the cold pavement. His eyes softened, just for her. Back at the camp, the colonel's words still hung in the air, almost prophetic. The hardest thing to protect was always the closest one to your heart. And as Dami turned to her father, her quiet voice cut through the night. Dad. Under the pale moonlight, Ryumin stood before Dami, his voice steady but eyes clouded by something heavier than guilt. He had a question, one that had been burning inside him far longer than the fires of any apocalypse. Was she afraid of him? He didn't say it to seek comfort. He said it because he already knew the answer. He remembered the first day after his transformation, the scars, the blood, the reflection that barely looked human anymore. And yet, Dami hadn't flinched. She called him Dad without hesitation, without fear. But tonight, something had changed. Her silence cut deeper than any weapon. And when she finally spoke, her voice trembled, not from weakness, but from truth long buried. She admitted it. She was scared every day, scared that the man she called father might one day lose control and end her life, just like he ended so many others. The words hung between them like a knife. She tried to hold back, but pain has a way of demanding answers. She clenched her fists, tears spilling beneath the moonlight. Pretending wasn't easy anymore. And then the question came, the one Ryumin had dreaded all along. Where is my real dad? The last words left her mouth like shards of glass, raw and merciless. Her voice cracked once more, this time drenched in fury. You monster bastard! And in that instant, the silence around them shattered. Because some truths are too sharp to survive quietly. Ryumin walked beside Dami, his thoughts distant, his expression unreadable.
She noticed, of course. She always did. Her voice carried a trace of worry, the kind only a daughter could have. What are you thinking about? She asked, light-heartedly, trying to sound casual. He smiled, that same practiced smile he wore whenever he wanted to hide the storm inside. Nothing, he said, the oldest lie in the world. Dami laughed softly, but her cough interrupted her. Small, harmless, or so it seemed. Ryumin's eyes sharpened instantly, concern replacing calm. He told her to go inside, to rest, to let him handle it. The kind of instinct that had kept her alive this long. But then something changed. A flicker in his eyes, a pulse in his vein. His smile vanished. The faint hum of something monstrous began to crawl under his skin. He froze. Then, almost without thought, he whispered her name, Ryudami. And before she could respond, he moved. Fast, violent, unstoppable. His body twisted. His hand surged forward, monstrous veins coiling around his arm. Dami's eyes widened in shock, confusion frozen on her face, and for the first time, the monster inside him didn't wait for permission. He lunged. The night shattered, because sometimes the thing you're trying hardest to protect is the first thing your darks want to destroy.
Dami's voice broke through the noise, panic, pleading. Dad, what's wrong? He didn't know until he opened his hand. A mosquito, just that, small, harmless, or at least it used to be. But in this world, nothing small stayed harmless for long. The creature's veins pulsed with unnatural red, and before either of them could react, the alarms began to wail. Code Black initiated. The sky itself seemed to shift, the air thick with dread. At the camp, the colonel's expression hardened. The soldier beside him convulsed, his screams tearing through the air. Flesh twisted, eyes turned void black, and the monster inside him took over. Evacuate immediately! The colonel roared, but it was already too late. One soldier fell, then another. Panic erupted. This wasn't training. This wasn't theory. This was real. And as the first infected raised its head, the night echoed with a scream that didn't belong to anything human. Republic of Korea Army, ROKA! The words no longer meant protection. They were a curse.